LightWave Server and LightWave Client lend themselves very naturally through their REST capabilities to providing CRUD functions, as you saw with the employee demo that we were just looking at. But for the most recent TBC, we decided to go a little further with the demo and show how those same REST capabilities can lend themselves very easily to working with a payment application, which is obviously a very common use case for NonStop users. So I'll show you a couple of slides that explain how the demo works, and then we'll have a look at the demo itself. So on this first slide, we can see the Acme demo pathway server that we have created for this this demo. So we've created a new pathway server that supports some basic payment type functionality. You can create cards and accounts. You can perform simulated transactions. You can view those transaction results in the transaction log. And then when we API enable it, you can also see the API traffic flow. So we'll have a look at all of that. Once again, it's a very simple pathway server working with an inscribed database out the back. In front of that pathway server, we've configured LightWave Server using the same sorts of steps as you just saw Phil going through to take those various transactions and make them available as REST services. And then at the front, we have a user interface that allows you to perform all of those different capabilities. So that's showing how LightWave Server can work with the payment application. But we went a little further than that, and we added LightWave Client into this demo as well. And this is so that we can show well, one of many different things you could do with a payment application when you add LightWave Client into the mix. In this case, we're using Amazon SNS, a simple notification service, REST services, to send SMS messages. But Amazon SNS does a lot of different notifications. This is one of the more simple options, but it works very well in a payment environment. So we're using SNS as part of our simulated payment transaction flow to send text notifications for specific types of transactions. So if a transaction is performed where the amount is over a certain floor limit or the card is blocked, then as part of that transaction, we will get a text notification sent out. So that shows the overall flow of what's happening with the Acme payment demo. Now I'm going over to the user interface that I mentioned to you before. And here we can see all of the accounts that are available in the system. We're going to be working predominantly with this one here. So if I click on that, you can see the account is configured. There's an email and a phone number set up. That happens to be my phone number, and we'll see how that works in a second. And we can also see the cards that are associated with that account. We can click on cards over here. We can see all of the cards. Once again, this is the card that I'm going to be using, and you can see there's an alert limit of $50. And so when we do a transaction, you'll see how that comes in. So then we have the terminal function where we're able to enter a transaction. Let's do one for 100. Actually, I've done that before. Let's do 225. We'll say the test merchant. The merchant is called Test 3, and we're going to use that card, and we'll submit the payment. We get a response back completed, and we can also see the response code. My mobile phone just buzzed. I got a text notifying me of that transaction because the amount is above the $50 floor limit. So that's all worked as it should. We can also then go to the transaction log, and we can see that transaction there in detail. So that would be similar to, say, the PTLF in a base 24 environment. Finally, we can go to the API request log, and we can see all of the back and forth that's been going on to support the functionality that we've been seeing. So we can see these GET requests that are retrieving data on the transaction, and this is the actual transaction itself. So it was an HTTP post with that payload, card number, and so on. and you can then see the response of 201, indicating successful operation, and you can see the actual response code in there as well. So that's pretty much the payment demo. As I mentioned, really taking a fairly standard set of payment type features, REST enabling them very easily using LightWave Server, and then also adding in LightWave Client to allow integration with, in this case, the Amazon SNS REST APIs, but really that could be any REST service. It could be a currency code conversion or an address lookup as part of the payment. Whatever you might need to do can be integrated within the payment engine using LightWave Client.